Red button means we're live, a casual take with your boy Stephen Pepper here to get a take off my chest. And that take today being, I want to talk about a trade that happened on Friday in the National Football League that I couldn't talk about this weekend. And it was the Philadelphia Eagles, according to Adam Schefter, sent their an edge rusher of theirs, Hassan Reddick, to the New York Jets for a conditional third round pick, according to Adam Schefter, that would become a second round pick. And the conditions for that second round pick being that if he plays more than 67.5% of his snaps and gets 10 or more sacks for the Jets, the Eagles will turn that pick into a second round pick. If not, it's a third round pick. But the Hassan Reddick move is just another either free agency signing, trade, and then the draft coming up in a couple weeks. Just moves that the Jets have made this offseason to go all in and build a real squad around future Hall of Fame quarterback Aaron Rodgers. And I was thinking about this when I got the notification the other day that is it possible that Aaron Rodgers, even at 40 years old, off an Achilles injury, has the most pressure out of any player in the league? I mean, Rodgers already had a lot of pressure coming into last season, right? Because remember, what were you all saying about the Jets before he got there? That the Jets were just a quarterback away from being an actual threat in the AFC. I mean, they did go 7-9 in a tough division with the worst quarterback room in all football. Now you add future Hall of Fame quarterback Aaron Rodgers, who was then a year removed away from MVP, and then you give him one of the best defense he's played with since he won a Super Bowl in 2011. And remember, everyone says, all the Aaron Rodgers fanboys say that Aaron Rodgers hasn't won a Super Bowl since then because he's never had a defense that good. But then we all know, of course we all know that he got hurt literally like 3 snaps into his Jets tenure. Then we later find out the offensive line is bad, and outside of Garrett Wilson, there's no real wide receiver out there for the team. But considering what the Jets have done this offseason, it's pretty clear that they're going all in on Aaron Rodgers' last year. Oh, the Jets have no receiver other than Wilson? Boom, done. Let's go add a Mike Williams to solidify that wide receiver 2 spot. The offensive line got him hurt? Done. 2 tackles and a guard. And the defense, which was already the 3rd total ranked defense last year, they just add Reddick and Kinlaw. That's pretty good. And then since Aaron Rodgers got hurt, they were able to get the 11th overall pick in the draft. Probably going to go get Brock Bowers to make that offense even more lethal. I mean, the Jets are making moves. Now, to me, the expectation, I want to make this clear. The expectation for the Jets isn't to be like this S-tier, top of the top Super Bowl contender. No, it's not that. But what is for sure, no excuse, the Jets cannot have anything short of missing the playoffs. I mean, they can't have anything short. What is clear is that they can't have anything short of making the playoffs. Because on paper, this team is real comp. I mean, think of the consequences of this team if they miss the playoffs. Like, if this season is a disaster, off rip, Salah's getting fired. I mean, last year, Salah and that staff, offense coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett and company, there was a lot of rumors of whether they would get fired last season, but, the owner gave him the benefit of the doubt because Rodgers got hurt and the team relied on Rodgers to be their success engine. So they retained him for another year. But then if they miss the playoffs this year and this year's a disaster, Rodgers is most likely going to retire. I think he's on his last year of his Jets deal, and he's 40 off a year removed from an Achilles. He's been contemplating retirement for what it feels like the last 5 years. I like to assume that he retires if this year in New York is a disaster. And then as far as future standpoint for the Jets, like their core players, if this year's a disaster, they only get closer to paying their young guys, Sauce, Garrett Wilson, and so on. This is a franchise that hasn't made the playoffs since 2011. And I think that was the same season that Aaron Rodgers won his last Super Bowl in Green Bay. Like, I'm not asking this team to go into Arrowhead, to go into Cincinnati and win an AFC championship game, and Aaron Rodgers is playing Super Bowl in February. I'm not asking this team to do that. But what I'm asking this team to do is to make the playoffs. The NFL is a 7th seed now. Make the playoffs. Be a legit threat to Josh Allen to take away that AFC East crown the Bills have been sitting on for the last 5 years. I know he's 40 years old, coming off an Achilles. Last season wasn't that good. Coach could probably get fired. But the expectation for the Jets is to be successful. And there's a lot of pressure on Aaron Rodgers because this, considering how their offseason is going, this is a squad. This is a real deal team because offensively, they're much better than they were last year. Offensively, we overestimated how good this team was last year. Now they're solid. Got 2 wide receivers now. 2. Maybe a Brock Bowers. Offensive line is solid. You got Breece Hall. That should be at least a top 12 offense next year. And then defensively, you've got they were good before Rodgers got there, when Rodgers was hurt, and they're good. They're going to be good this year because they added guys who play for Saleh and Kinlaw. Then Reddick's a guy who only Myles Garrett, with him and Myles Garrett, have had at least 10 sacks in the last 4 seasons. I think he's like tied. He's like top 5 in sacks over the last 4 seasons. I think he led the league in sacks like two years ago when Philadelphia went to the Super Bowl. That's a guy that they're going to add to defense on an already good defensive line. And, Rodgers is on his last year. And what do Rodgers fanboys say? He hasn't made a Super Bowl since 2011 because he just hasn't had like a top 10 defense. Well, now he has one. And the pressure's on him to, again, I'm not saying that they're going to win the Super Bowl. The expectation should be to win the Super Bowl. But do you think Rodgers should probably try to push for one at least? Win a playoff game, make a playoff game, compete in the division. That's the expectations. Even at 40, off an Achilles, retirement's looming, but this team is really good. And it would be a disaster if this team does not make the playoffs. Because considering how their offseason is going, this team should be a solidified playoff team next year. But I appreciate everyone for tuning in to this episode of A Casual Take. For more episodes, stay update on all things related to the show. Some Casual Takes is the handle on all social media platforms. And until next time, see ya.